We're here to teach you about physical geography.
This is the model of the Earth. I'm going to show you the physical processes that the atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere goes through. When a factory pops up in the atmosphere, it pollutes the atmosphere. The atmosphere holds all the gases inside of the Earth. When an oil spill happens, it hurts the hydrosphere because it kills all the organisms. A hydrosphere is just a basic body of water. The lithosphere. The lithosphere holds the tectonic plates. Whenever the tectonic plates move, they cause earthquakes and cause a fault line in the land. The biosphere. When deforestation happens, it kills all the animals and trees. The biosphere is basically everything living.
Okay guys, quiz time. Teacher, it is now time for you to pause this video and let's see how well y'all do.
Now I will teach and give examples of innovations that have allowed humans to adapt and how this has led to growth in population. Everything from the earliest inventions to the most recent innovations have helped us adapt and helped our population grow. Innovation is something new or different that is introduced. Many innovations are in the category of either hardware or software. The air conditioning innovation is in the hardware category, and that has helped us adapt to where we can be cooler in summertime and warmer in the wintertime. Refrigeration is also an innovation that we have been able to adapt to because it keeps our food at a nice temperature when we have nowhere to put it. Some examples of some software innovations include weather satellites that help us read weather when it's coming in so we know what's going to happen. Alright, now I'm going to teach you about landforms and how they're formed. A mountain, for example, would be formed by a raised part of the Earth's surface from congruent boundary, from tectonic plates. Tectonic plates are part of the Earth's surface, so a convergent boundary would be when two boundaries are pushed together and they go up like a mountain, that's how a mountain would form. Formation of a mountain usually takes a few million years, while earthquakes and volcanoes can tear apart or build new landforms in a matter of hours. Like an earthquake can tear apart a whole place in an hour. Another landform that you might be familiar with is a valley. A valley can be formed by a glacier which moves past an area and forms a deep dip in between two things, so that becomes a valley. You would have this, and that's where the glacier would go through.
Technological innovations of transportation. An innovation is just basically a change to a product. Like the wheel. It went from a stone wheel to a wooden wheel to a wheel on a car. And then you have the train. Cars and trains need somewhere to go, so they use roads and train tracks. Well, when you put a road and a train track down, then you have to cut down forests and grass and stuff. And then you have your plane. Innovations in energy. First you had the steam power, then you had the gas power, then you had the horsepower, and then you have the computer power. Not in that order, because now in the future we have computer power cars.
Okay guys, so humans and our effect on the physical environment. So let's start with a negative effect. Here we have pollution. Pollution can occur at any time, especially when we add a factory into our environment, or just from the everyday fuel exhaust from our cars. Another thing we don't usually think about as pollution is littering, which can cause many bad and nasty things in our water, as you see in the picture above, affecting both us and our animals in the environment. Okay, now we have deforestation. Deforestation occurs when we want to build something and need the land, or we need the wood and lumber to make new things. What we don't think about as deforestation is we put many animals out of their natural habitats. In the picture above, you can see a group of monkeys who usually live in trees adapting to living on the ground due to deforestation. Okay, so here's a positive effect. Recycling, we reuse most of our things, helping the environment. Many of y'all know what recycling is. We've learned it since 3rd grade. I know some of y'all do it. Okay, Replanting trees. Replanting trees makes up for deforestation. When we usually replant them when we need the wood and lumber to make things, not the space to build cities and etc. Okay, so here we have extreme weather conditions and the reduction of their effects. It also includes adaptations and dependencies. So El Nino, for those of you who don't know what El Nino is, it's when warm water blows toward the Pacific, causing no more upwelling as there would be in regular conditions. So this creates lots of rain and storms. When it hits the Americas, most of those rain and storms cause flooding. So a way we could reduce this is build storm walls. Okay, floods, as we just learned, is one of the consequences of El Nino, but floods also cause landslides. A way we could reduce landslides and their damage is by planting plants and trees on the mountains to hold the dirt in place and reduce, try not to build our houses up on the hills where they could come crashing down during a landslide. Hurricanes. Most of y'all know that during hurricanes we build hurricane shelters. Air conditioning. So in air conditioning, this is a dependency and an adaptation. We use it to keep ourselves cool during the hot summers. Culture and technology. Culture and technology both affect our physical environment and their improvements. For example, we can now know when a tornado, tsunami, hurricane hits us just by signing up for weather alerts and notifications. We also have weather satellites to help us keep track of hurricanes and tsunamis, etc., as I was saying. In the corner there, we have a barometer, which helps us keep track of our weather, stormy, rainy, which changes or it's very dry. Okay guys, so this is a diagram of ocean currents and mountain barriers. Mountain barriers are just a group of mountains. So how mountain barriers work, the higher you go in elevation, the colder the air gets and the thinner as well. Ocean currents influence things like El Nino and La Nina. In the prior lesson we learned about El Nino and how it has to do with trade winds. Ocean currents also influence or are influenced by convection currents. Okay guys, so what those words basically, the big words basically mean is that convection currents, it's warm air and cold air that cause currents, usually in the air, and there's also trade winds.
These are the trade winds. Trade winds are the patterns that the wind follows. These are the easterlies, the blue ones. The green ones are the westerlies.
The red ones are the north and southeast trade winds.
Latitude is the imaginary line that runs horizontal across the globe. Latitude affects the temperature because the further north or south the Earth is from the equator, sunlight reaches Earth at more and more of an angle.
The equator is the line in the middle.
I illustrated the influence of climate on different biomes in different regions, and I provided multiple examples like the Arctic, the subarctic, the temperate, and the tropical. I went from hot to cold, decreasing temperature, and I went from wet to dry, decreasing moisture, and I drew different pictures.
Okay, so this is a paper giving you examples of regions. There's a formal region, a functional region, and a perceptual region.
Teacher, you can pause the video now and let the children look at the diagram.
Okay, so now I'm going to teach you about annual changes in the Earth-Sun relationships and how it affects the weather. The weather changes all the time depending on where the Earth is in relation to the Sun. So when we're having winter or summer, the other side of the globe, would be like China or somewhere, would have like summer or spring, or having winter or fall. This also affects the equinoxes and the solstices.
Okay guys, so Amanda was just telling you about equinoxes and solstices. So, an equinox is when the days are of equal length. That means the sun is over the equator.
And the solstice represent the first day of each season, like the summer solstice represents the first day or marks the first day of summer.
Political and economic relationships between U.S. and other countries. So a very popular thing to say is oil, because we both use it and it is exported from other countries.
Political relation with other countries also matters because it depends on how much oil we get.
I'm going to teach you about the physical processes that the Earth goes through again, but more like erosion and how the tectonic plate forces affect the way the Earth looks. And the physical processes are just like what the Earth goes through or the regions go through that makes it look different. These are the tectonic plates. They physically affect the Earth and all of its regions because they are the lithosphere. The lithosphere is the part we walk on, the land and the fields and the soil. To help you learn about the 3 different ways that the tectonic plates move, I'm going to teach you a little jingle that I learned. It goes convergent, divergent, transform, transform. This is the divergent plate boundary. The box is a lithosphere, and then there's trees, and then there's grass. Divergent moves away from each other. When they move away, there's a bunch of hot stuff underneath the lithosphere that has nowhere else to go but up. And then when it cools down, it forms a mountain. You cut into the earth, you see a bunch of hot stuff. So that's how you get the mountain forming. And then the white stuff is a lithosphere. This is a convergent boundary. They come together, convergent. And then all that rock and dirt and stuff has nowhere else to go but up, so it forms a mountain. Then you have the transforming boundaries that move side to side and cause earthquakes. Then you have the transforming boundaries that move side to side and cause earthquakes. Erosion affects the way everything looks. It can round off mountains and hills. It can cause trees to be uprooted. Glaciers also help carve out mountains like the Grand Canyon. How weather affects the looks of the earth. Weather affects our regions because it can completely destroy homes, flood different regions. It can burn down forests. It can just change the whole landscape, make us homeless. We adapt though. We rebuild and we repair. We get notified through sirens and with weather forecasts. And we have shelters to hide in whenever the weather gets really bad.